Shalom, shalom. Once again, welcome to my story. This is Emmanuel Nyambe. I'm going to be giving you my story, a series that I've started on YouTube, which is called My Story. And I want you to know that in this segment of my story, I'll be touching my walk in ministry. From there, I'll also be touching in my personal life. The aim of this channel or programs or series is to help somebody out there might be going through the similar thing or have gone through the similar thing. The aim is just to literally help people and just to share my story. I believe it has taken me years to share. I believe by now I am strong to share the story because, there are things that happen in life that when you share them, you find tears come out of your eyes. Maybe there are experiences, there are certain pains of life, discouragements. But when you reach a point whereby your story, when you share it, it comes from the heart, you are healed. It comes with so much love. It doesn't come as an attack, but it comes as a learning tool. Yeah, so today I'm going to talk about my work in the ministry in church. I'll do part of it, and then I'll continue again on Friday on the other series connecting to this one. I started knowing the Lord years back, but I'm going to be as brief as possible. I joined a church that I will not mention names, and when I joined that church, I decided to move from the city where the overseer of the church was. And why I left is because I felt as a young, I was a young pastor, ordained, and so I decided to leave that city to come to another city away from where I was. To be precise, I came to Ndola. And then when I came here, in my mind was to start my own ministry. But I realized, I said, no, I'm not ready for ministry. I need to continue where I came from, because where I came from the other ministry, I was not sent to come and literally start a church. But because it was in me, I thought of starting a church. But I was not established, so I had to start a church here. And of course, got a name from where I came from and informed the authorities that side that I've started a church. Fast forward, the church grew to almost 100 plus people, vibrant people, and we were on a mission. The church was doing very, very good. But as the church was going very well, I discovered some changes started happening. Some demands started happening from the main church, and which they were right, because I was under their umbrella, and I have no problem with that. But as I was going in the ministry, I was enjoying it. I was okay with anything that they demand. But I reached a point, I think in 2021, I had a call of God. I had a dream where I received a call that I needed to start my own work. And I remained loyal to the church. I went back to the church in the city where I came from to go and see the authorities of the church. Those were the leaders of that church. And I went to the head pastor, or the servant of God was there. And I told them that there's this call that is heavy upon my heart to start my own work, my own church. And I could see from the onset that he was not happy with that. We spoke at length, but I could see that he was not happy. And I think he was trying to advise in one way or the other that I'm not ready for that. But I felt it so strong. When you're a vibrant young preacher, I felt so strong that it was time. There are times that a lot of people don't understand that sometimes it's better to allow someone to start. and see how far they can go. If they fail, they have learned something. But I was given a condition. I remember that I should work for another 2 years for the church, so that I make sure that the church which I started in this new city where I am in Ndola, because it doesn't belong to me, it has a name of the other church where I came from. So they said, you work for 2 years, raise leaders, prepare people, and so that the time you're leaving, everything is in place, of which I did. I had about 10 pastors that I raised in that church from zero, not funded by the other church, the main church. I was not funded. I was not given a salary. I'm not complaining, but I'm just telling you, I just worked thoroughly throughout because I loved the Lord. And I worked for about 10 years. And you see, I worked for those 2 years. From 2021, 2022, I worked. But in the main time when I was working for those 2 years, I was given to work for 2 years from 2021 and 2022, so that I can now be released officially. I was told what to work on, the targets, raise leaders, do this and that, of which I did. And then I was told not to tell anyone in the church that I was leaving, to avoid the church, scattering or to get information prematurely. And the head pastor told me, said, Emmanuel, I don't want you to tell anyone. It's going to be me that I'm going to come and tell everyone. And I followed that to the letter. But what I didn't realize is that the head pastor did not keep his word. He did not keep his word that he is going to come and tell the people that I'm leaving the church, I'm released. But instead, he started talking to my leaders, those who are very loyal pastors. I just discovered that some of them became very arrogant to me, resentment, to a point whereby others stopped tithing in the church. They started tithing direct to him, and I would call him, say, but this is a person. When I pursue them, why are they not giving the church? They say they're giving direct to you in another city. And he would decline. Sometimes he'll brush it aside. So I discovered that there was a problem. Until one of the leaders was bold enough to tell me, to say, do you know why? Us, we have been told not to give in this church, but to give to the main church, because we are pastors. I said, but you belong to this church. Then if you don't give in this church, then how will the church survive? We have got bills to clear. But I discovered that the problem was not with the people. The problem with the head pastor, the one who was in charge of the church. In the context of overseer, he was playing a double trick game on me, where he shows that he's with me, but is not with me. Okay, that's the word I can use. Because what surprised me is that most of the people I raised from nothing that became great pastors and are still great, they became so disrespectful to me, so disloyal. So in short, he was going behind me and telling them that Emmanuel was leaving the church. Emmanuel was leaving the church. And he was slowly preparing them to rebel against me. I think in his mind, he thought maybe if they can frustrate me, the leaders, then I will leave. Okay, I will rebel. But I stood the ground not to rebel against the church. I stood strong to say, until I'm released in a right way. I want you to know, child of God, wherever you are listening from, sometimes God can use people to oppose you. God can allow them rather to oppose you. But you should be very careful, because there are people, when they are opposing you, they come with so much intensity, which is not God now. Like the way of passing through, I knew that this is not God, but this is the work of man. This is the work of now. Let's bring him down. Let him not flourish. Let him not go anywhere in ministry. That's what was happening, because I was fought left and center. The 2 years I was told that I should work hard to make sure the church remains in order. That's a time that I was fought. My pastors rebelled against me. People are close to me, who I would regard as close associates, they distanced themselves. Only 1 or 2 people remained with me. So what really disturbed me was that the head pastor, instead of protecting me, there are things I would hear from my juniors, okay, from my junior pastors that I am supposed to know. So I knew that there was a battle. I knew that now I'm being fought. Not only fought, but it's like he wanted to paint a bad picture on me so that when I leave the church, I go with a bad name. I'm saying this with love and with a healed heart, that it should not happen to any person. One of the things that I discovered was, there's a man in the Bible called Joseph Caiaphas. He was the high priest. This was a man that fought Jesus tooth and nail until to his crucifixion. There are times that people fight us are in the church. I'll tell you with boldness, when I was not in the church fully, I had a lot of friends. But when I went into the church, it's like I developed more enemies in the church, created enemies in the church. I experienced a lot of pain in the church that it took years for me to heal. But instead of the church being a refuge, to me, when I made a decision to leave the church, it became like hell. I was fought left and center. Can you imagine your own leaders are fighting you? People you have raised, people you have helped, people you have sacrificed were the ones that are fighting you on the ground. And of course, being supported by a person that is the overseer of the church. So you see the intensity of what I went through. I pray that you might be a musician, a minister, you might be a member. Maybe you're going through this. I want you to know, put your trust in God. I learned to trust God because most of the time when we're in these churches, we tend to trust man so much. And we put God on the other side. But listen, God never changes. His love is constant. But man can be filled with jealousy and envy and can fight you. So I was fought to the level whereby, to the point of, I was almost giving up. But I said, Father, give me strength not to give up. The church started to go down. The people that I was with, the pastors, the leaders that were in that church, they started attacking those potential members, telling them falsehood about me, accusation, big accusations. And I lost quite a lot of good people that were close to me because of being fought from up and within the church. And I'll tell you the truth, I stood strong to the time of my release. But it was, my spirit was crushed. I could have died physically because I've never experienced such kind of pain in my life. But I knew that everything is to the glory of God. I don't hold anything against those people. I have nothing against the head pastor. I love him with all my heart. To anyone that was in those fracas, I have nothing against them. Can you imagine that there was even one man that I was so close to me. He was my protocol, my protege. Somebody that was close to me. That someone who used to serve me food, serve me drinks, water in the church, is the one that was brainwashed and by the head overseer, and told him so many secretive things that I could have shared with him. And the guy didn't know how to address those things. He started sending them to members of the church, so that they are discouraged. They don't follow me anymore. I was blackmailed. I was really in pain. But today God has given me life, and I forgave them. The only thing I would say, I want to warn you, be very careful when you are in a church which has got a divide and rule spirit, where others are loved. Be careful when you're in the church and there's the man of God, the head pastor, keeps on saying, no one leaves my church. That is now tradition. When tradition comes in the church, witchcraft comes in the church immediately. Now, please, I'm not accusing anyone to be a witch. I know out of wisdom, some of you think witchcraft is, charms or working for the devil. Yes, witchcraft is in two parts. There's what we call satanic witchcraft, and there's what we call conventional witchcraft. Conventional witchcraft is like what the Bible says, that the spirit of rebellion is like the spirit of witchcraft. It doesn't mean that the person rebelling is a witch. No, it means that the attributes are of witchcraft, but he's not using any charms. Okay, that is witchcraft. There are some behaviors of people when they behave. We say you behave like a witch. It doesn't mean that person is a witch, is using satanic powers. No. So most of the witchcraft that is practiced in churches is conventional witchcraft, which attacks your spirit, attacks your soul. So whenever you hear a man of God say, me, you can't leave my church, or you hear a man of God say, if you leave my church, this will happen to you, they are already in conventional witchcraft. It's a very dangerous spirit. Now, there are some people that go from conventional to become satanic, or they become evil, meaning now they go into the practicing itself. They start practicing. You get my point. They start practicing witchcraft now. But those are not the people I'm talking about. I'm talking about conventional witchcraft that is in the church. Mostly it's threat-based. If you leave my church, you're going to die. Your life will you'll never be okay. Listen to me. You are allowed to leave a church at any time. At any time you feel like leaving. If you feel you're out of place, you are not fitting in, you can leave the church and find a place where you can fit. Right now, there are so many believers that are living in fear in churches. Churches have become prisons because of the fear that has been instilled in them. When you hear a man of God who says, I've done a lot of things for you, this is what you're doing, you can't leave my church, you see, just know you are in trouble. Leave that place as quickly as possible. When you hear a church, they're talking about, you see this person who left the church, they're not doing very well, it's because they left this covering. There's nothing like that. The greatest covering that we have is the covering of Christ. It's Jesus who is our covering. Yes, man is needed in the picture, but man that should come in to be your cover must have the love of God, not the love of flesh, not the love of money, not the love of division, not the love of coming to destroy destinies. No, must have the love of Christ. That's one thing you should know. So when culture and tradition enters the church, it's no longer a church. It becomes a control movement. When it's a tradition says, do this. If you don't do it, there are consequences. If you do it, it shall be well with you. Those are conditions of men. I believe, my friends, that with this that I've said, I'll continue for the next series, because now we'll pick it up from the time I was released from the ministry. What happened on the day of my release? And did the battle end when I was released? I want to warn you that the time I was released, as we come to the next series, look out for the next series. When I was released, the battle intensified, but God protected me. Thank you so much, children of God. Today I wanted just to talk about my journey in ministry and what I've gone through. And I pray that people will learn from this, that they'll be strong and know that God is Abba Father, a Father that does not change, the Father that will never abandon you, is a Father that will never forsake you, is a Father that will never look at the mistakes you have made. He says, come the way you are. God bless you, and I wish you God's blessing. This has been your friend, Emmanuel Nyambe, Apostle, and see you on Friday for the next series. Don't miss the next series. God bless you, and shalom, shalom.